A truly masculine Christian man does not become defensive under criticism. Instead, he acts like a rock. Modern men are so quick to anger. And to be honest with you, this is a pretty lame quality. It's not masculine at all. And it's not how we're supposed to show up as men. We know this. If you read the Stoics, it talks all about this. If you go and read like Marcus Aurelius and you read, the Meditations, you read some of these books on Stoicism. If you read books that are from people that have been in combat, generals, all that, a lot of it is about being calm under pressure, understanding how to handle things. And this doesn't mean not doing anything. It doesn't mean freezing when things get pressured. It just means handling things in a way where you can take criticism and you can take it as feedback and you can still be a solid rock and handle things. In relationships, it's no different. And God speaks of this. If you go to the Bible, I'm going to read, this is in James chapter 1. I'm going to read 19 and 20, verse 19 and 20. And this is under hearing and doing the word. Know this, my beloved brothers. Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. It's right there. Quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. So it tells you what to do right there in verse 19. When you're receiving criticism, instead of just getting defensive and immediately freaking out and trying to defend yourself, listen to what is said there. Be quick to hear, slow to speak. Well, right there, that's telling you, actually listen to what's being said. Take it in and understand it. Slow to anger follows that. Don't just react. It's about not being reactive. And then it says, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And I think that we all know that, right? And when you're a super angry person, you typically don't behave in a way that is appropriate. You typically make bad decisions. It's just the way it is. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where you get angry. We are humans. We have emotions. You can't just ignore that. But this is specifically talking about when you're receiving criticism. Now, there are times where some criticism is unwarranted, right? Somebody could be criticizing you with something that is totally unjust or invalid. Maybe they're saying something that's not even true as a criticism, but use your best judgment here on how to handle that. Most of the time, even in that case, it's best to remind them that, hey, I think you're speaking out of turn. This actually doesn't apply here for this reason. You can try to be reasonable if somebody's just freaking out or whatever. I understand. I understand that it's going to be difficult to deal with, but use your best judgment on what this all means to you. If you're in a relationship and you're being criticized for something that you do or don't do around the house, don't just get immediately defensive and say, well, I work hard and I do this. Actually listen and have a productive conversation around it, and you'll find that it's going to go a lot further for you. So I want to get into a very practical way to live this out, because it's always easier said than done, right? Like when we read the Bible, and I put it over here, so I'm looking over here. When we read the Bible and we read things like this, and it says, okay, be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. It's like, oh yeah, that's great. Great advice, right? It's like when someone says, well, just don't be stressed out. Just don't be angry. It's not very helpful a lot of the time. How do you actually do it? The Bible's helpful because we know if we just try to pray, we think about Jesus, we think about the teachings, eventually with enough practice, we will get there ourselves. But there's a lot more to it than that. You can't just if you're immediately reactive and defensive, there's a lot of stuff that you can actually do yourself to become less so. And this all relates back to being a rock, being a sturdy person. The more like a rock you are as a man, the more masculine you're going to be to others, and the more likely people will trust you. Other men will trust you if they know that you're sturdy. If you have a sturdy foundation, other men will trust you. They will trust you because they know they can give you harsh truths and whatnot without you reacting and freaking out. That's just the way it is. Like you're going to be trusted by other men more. You're going to be more attractive to other women. And that's the way it works. I've brought this up before. I don't know if it was on one of these videos or not, but I know I've talked about this in my school community, which, by the way, you can join it completely free. The link is in the description. It's called Man Rewired. It's for men. And there are a bunch of free resources in there, free courses, PDFs, trainings. It's awesome. It's a great community of men. So check it all out and you can learn a lot more about this. But what I was going to say is that one of the things I talked about in there was a friend of mine said this to me once and it stuck with me to this day. He was saying, when you're in a relationship as a man, you need to be like a pillar, like a rock, a solid pillar that's maybe in the middle of a river. And using the analogy of like your wife is the river, the feminine is the river. And rivers, if anyone lives near a river, you know this, especially if you live in the mountains like I do, rivers change how fast they're flowing at different times of the year. So during times of heavy rain or snow melt, the rivers around here become very, very intense, ragey. They're slamming white water, just really harsh rapids. And then in times of like the summer and early fall, they're barely trickling, very peaceful, quiet, just a trickle of a river. Like they vary on how they flow. But no matter how hard that river is flowing, you got to stay solid, a pillar in the middle of all of it. Solid, grounded, rooted presence. And that is masculine. And that's what you have to do. And as you do that, you'll build trust and you won't have to worry about being defensive anymore. Now, if you were going to get defensive at different times, you're just not going to be perceived as masculine. And it's not going to be a good look. It's not good for you. It's just not what it is. So anyway, how can you do this? How can you avoid being defensive? Well, we can use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. This is what I'm trained in, what I help people with every day. It's what I do for my work. I'm an NLP life coach. Before that, I have been an entrepreneur, owned businesses. I've owned a business and sold it, got it acquired. I've been married, divorced. I'm engaged now. So I've been in different relationship situations. So I have a lot of experience with this. And I work with people on this on a regular basis. But in NLP, we can use something called perceptual positions. So perceptual positions is a technique that you can use that will help you learn how to become less defensive. Now, in real time, this is a hard thing to implement right away until it becomes more second nature for you. So the way to start with this is to start with past experiences that you've had where you've been defensive and reactive and not handled things well. So what you have to do is close your eyes and bring up an experience of where you didn't react well. Maybe you were defensive under a legitimate criticism. Could be with a business partner, colleague. Could be with your romantic partner, family member, whatever it is that you want to use. Pick one that you know for sure happened. Hopefully not too far back. More recent would probably be better, but it's fine either way. And bring up that memory and that experience. And what I want you to do is take note of like where it shows up. Are you seeing it through your own eyes? Are you seeing it from a third-party perspective, like you're dissociated from it? Well, if you are, I want you to associate into it and see it through your eyes. I want you to relive the experience. And so I don't want it to be a still image, or whatever, or just like one little sound. I want you to actually go back and replay the memory like you're reliving it, like a movie through your own eyes. So I want you to be in position 1, which is your position, where you were and how you handled it. Just relive it, see it, and remember it. So you might see it all happening visually. You might feel stuff in your body. You might hear things. Go back and relive the memory from your position and take note of how you were feeling in the moment. What were you feeling when you started to get defensiveness and react? Like, what were the feelings that were coming up? What was going on? And just take note of that. Now, after you go and relive that experience, maybe write down a few notes on like, what did you actually experience here? What were the things that happened? How were you feeling? What was going on there? Just take some notes. Then I want you to go back into it again, same memory. This time, I want you to put yourself into the other person's perspective. So I want you to actually be the other person in the situation and see it through their eyes as if you're talking to you. So I know that sounds kind of weird. Let's say your name is James. I want you to now be in, and the person that was criticizing you was Susan. I want you to now be Susan and see yourself criticizing James and think about as Susan what you were feeling, what you were thinking, why you were criticizing how you were, and how was it being perceived when James was talking to you. So I want you to do that. And this is going to be the hardest part, is being in the second person perspective. It's hard for us to do this, but practice it and do it. Go into that perspective. Now, go through and relive the experience from that person's perspective. And then afterwards, take some notes on what do you think that person was experiencing and feeling and perceiving through it. Then what I want you to do is go into position 3. In position 3, you're going to actually watch it like it's a movie, like you're sitting on a couch watching a movie, right? Just imagine yourself watching it. So you're seeing James and Susan having this interaction with each other, and you're hearing the whole thing and seeing the whole thing. So you're seeing it from a third-party, neutral perspective. This is called being dissociated. You're now dissociated. So you shouldn't have as much reaction to this now because you're watching it from a third-party perspective. But you can see their body language. You can see how they're reacting, how they're feeling. You can hear the tonality. You can see the way that the movements are happening. So you know what's going on, and you're watching the whole thing. Now, after you go through that part of the process, write down some notes. What did you observe? What was going on there? Now, finally, we're going to do something special here, which is bringing in position 4. Now, this is not a traditional NLP thing to bring in position 4, but this is something that is a great way to go. And what this is you're going to bring in your mentor. So in my case, it's going to be Jesus. But if you're not a Christian, you can bring something from your faith. So if you have another faith, maybe you're Hindu and you bring in Durga or something like that. I don't know. It depends on what faith you have and what you believe. That was just the first one that came to mind. But if you don't have like a specific figure in, a religious framework, then think of another mentor. Think of another mentor. It could be someone who's alive or someone who's passed, someone that has been a mentor to you, whose opinion you really do value, and you really look up to them and you respect them. If you don't have anyone that comes to mind, just think of a historical figure that would work for you. So for me, this is going to be Jesus. Jesus is always going to be the best mentor for me. So what you're going to do now is you're going to stay in that same position 3, like you're going to rewatch the movie again, but this time you're going to have your mentor sitting next to you. So let's say, imagine you're on a couch and your mentor is now sitting next to you and you're watching this experience together. So the same thing you just did in position 3, but now you have someone next to you, your mentor. And what you're going to do now is imagine rewatching it and they're watching it with you and they're giving you feedback on what they think is going on. And basically telling you, hey, like, I think this about how, James handled the situation and Susan and blah, 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 and all the above. So it's like you're having a conversation with your mentor. So for me, this would be, I'm having a conversation with Jesus about the particular situation. And then after you do that, write down those notes. Now, what I want you to do is analyze all the notes that you took. And also, I want you to just take a moment and think about, how am I feeling about the situation? And do I have any new insights? And I pretty much guarantee you will. You'll have new insights that have come from just doing this perceptual positions practice. And you'll probably have insights about how you could have handled it in a way that wasn't defensive. Now, this isn't meant to make you feel guilty about bad decisions that you've made. It's a learning opportunity for knowing, how will I handle things in the future? So then what I want you to do is future pace it. Think about next time you're having an interaction with this particular person that we use as an example, and something challenging coming up and how you're going to handle it. And I pretty much guarantee you will have a new perspective on the way to deal with this in the future, because now you have a new perspective of how to handle it, and you've unlocked all this stuff that was in your unconscious. Because typically when we get defensive, It's our unconscious coming out and us having reactions. And the truth is, we can change how we react to things by adjusting things that are in our unconscious. So you will be less likely to be defensive next time because of this type of exercise. So what I want you to do is go back and start one by one going through experiences. So that was just one experience. You can do a lot more of this work by going through previous experiences like this. And I have other things that make this even stronger and better and expand upon this practice in the school community that I mentioned. Again, it's completely free. It's in the description below. So check that out, and I'll look forward to seeing you in there, and I will go through this in way more depth in there. And then if you have questions when you join, you can just ask me in the community tab, and I'm happy to answer things and go over, hey, like, let's talk about this further. And I will also make a post about this particular video so that we can have more discussion on it in there that's more fruitful. And I might even reply with like a video and things like that. A lot of times I do really personalized responses for people in there. So I'll look forward to seeing you in there, and I will talk to you all soon.